Your character should meet the call. What does that even mean? It means that you have a calling. Deep down, you have a calling. It might be that you know what it is. It might be that you don't know what it is. It might be that you know what it is, but you're ignoring it, or you're overlooking it, or you're distracting yourself from that call. Now, what is your character? Well, your character is typically how you present yourself to the world. It is how you come off to others, isn't it? Now, your character is meant to meet the call. It is when your character, the way that you come off to other people, the way that you are, in the way that you show up, it's when that matches the call, that the call is getting stronger, that the call is becoming even more apparent, that it literally begins pulling on you. Make sense? And so when you are out of alignment with the calling, when your character is one way and then your calling is something else, that is when it becomes even tougher to actually, manifest, to bring to life, to actually realize, to bring down to earth, to realize it, yeah? When you actually step into and begin embodying the kind of person, the kind of character that would express the calling, that is when the calling actually gets expressed. Make sense? And so the calling that you have might require of you to do certain things, to make certain decisions, to let go of certain aspects of who you were, of how you have shown up until now. Your calling might require you to move locations, to end certain relationships, or reinvent the relationship, or reinvent yourself in the relationship, or reintroduce something into it. When I say end something, it doesn't necessarily mean cut it out. It can mean that. You will know that deep down. But it can also just mean ending a version of how you have shown up in the relationship, or in that field, or in that project, or whatever it is. Just shifting the way that you show up changes the dynamic. It changes the energy exchange of everything. Make sense? So it's when that happens that the calling can come in even stronger. So when you have a calling, how does that become apparent? How do you know that you have a calling for something? You know that you have a calling for something through what typically is known as claircognizance. Claircognizance is a deep inner knowing, typically centered in the heart and the gut, in that area. And it can come through as well as clairaudience and clairvoyance, where you have visions, where you have kind of an auditory sense of something repeatedly, like a little tiny whisper over and over and over again. And it's just like a tiny little whisper that's consistent and persistent across time and space. And it's simply your intuition kind of bringing to you what the next season will be like and look like and all of this. When you have a calling, it's very hard to repress it. And if you choose to repress it or ignore it or look another direction, it will only get stronger, okay? Callings only become stronger if you ignore them. Also, callings tend to scream at you if you don't tune into the whisper eventually. So callings never scream in the beginning. They don't. They typically begin as a whisper, and then they kind of get more and more and more stronger over time. For this calling to actually manifest and for you to bring it down to earth and realize it, your character must be in alignment to the calling. Let me give you an example, okay? Let me give you an example here. For instance, my calling right now is to continue expressing the way that I do right now through Bloom Beyond and help high performers create a life and business of freedom from perfectionism with the power of the subconscious mind. If that is a calling for me, and that calling also involves me tapping into my own essence, my own light sunflower and bloomer, that then means that I get to, if I choose to, embody that character that can match me showing up as a coach, as a light worker, as a leader. And so that character would involve me blooming beyond and going beyond and overcoming the way that I was in the past, right? Or let's say I had a different career or something. Let's say that I was in certain relationships that didn't support or showed interest in or had my back in this vision, in this calling. Then obviously, if that was the case, then I would have to reinvent myself. I would have to either let go of someone or something, or reinvent myself within those dynamics to see what happened. Because when you have a calling, again, you can't ignore those callings because it's a soul, it's a spirit, it's the light sunflower and bloomer within you calling you, knowing from a different timeline, from a higher timeline, a future timeline, what you are truly meant to embody here on this earth, what you're here for. You're here to embody love, and that can come in different shapes and forms, but deep down you know. So truly ask yourself, what is my character right now like? And this calling, what kind of character is it that I get to embody if I want to be in alignment with that calling? I also know that that calling for me involves, being in and around others who are on the same frequency and vibrancy and resonance as me. And that must mean then that I get to put myself in those environments and locations and travel to those places. And that means that I probably will have to, in the beginning, or get to sacrifice certain commitments or certain locations that I've been in the past, or even money, in order to manifest that. But that is okay, because in the long term, I know that that is part of the plan. That's part of the vision. That's part of the calling. Callings aren't meant to be easy. They're not meant to be this like fairy tale in the beginning. They're meant to be a journey. And so that's what's required, to surrender to that and trust that, to trust the calling and allow yourself to get in alignment as a character to that calling. In the Bloom Beyond tribe, you're more than welcome to come in there. Go to bloombeyond.com/apply. In there, you get support to begin embodying that character that matches, the type of character that you really got to step into in order to manifest and bring down to earth and realize this calling that you have. Or if you don't know what it is yet, it is there. It's always there deep down, and it only becomes apparent when you bloom beyond perfectionism. The layers of conditioning of what you should do, what you have to do, the layers of pushing, proving, and pleasing. It only becomes apparent to you when you bloom beyond that. And that is why I'm so passionate about you overcoming this perfectionism. Because when you do, on the other side of that is that calling, pulling on you, calling you through. And from that place, it's ease, it's effortlessness, it's fun, it's playfulness, it's creativity, it's love. If this sounds like something you'd be curious in and something that you'd like support with, which everyone should definitely open themselves up to support in the journey of creating their lives and their businesses, go to bloombeyond.com/apply to apply, and we might see you on the other side. Stay bright, brave, and balanced.